The cargo ship Sable Horizon moved through the dark like a slow whale swimming in a black ocean. It was big, heavy, and not pretty to look at. Its hull was covered in old paint, dents and patches from years of hard work. To anyone who saw it from far away, it looked like nothing more than a tired old freighter, the kind that hauled grain, metal, and machine parts between human colonies. No weapons showed on its surface. No warning lights blinked with danger. It looked exactly like what it was supposed to look like. A slow, soft, harmless target. That was the whole point. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars through the front window. She was in her 40s, with short gray hair and tired eyes that still missed nothing. She had flown cargo routes for over 20 years, first for the old Earth fleet, then for private companies once the wars ended. Peace had come, but peace in this part of space was thin, like ice on a pond in early spring. You could walk on it, but you never forgot it could crack. "Report," she said, not turning around. Her first officer, a young man named Tomas Reyes, checked his screen. "All systems normal, Captain. We're 3 days out from the Kestrel station drop-off. Cargo holds are steady. No ships in scanner range." "Good," Elena said. "Keep it that way." The Sable Horizon carried food supplies, medical equipment, and machine parts to the small human colonies scattered along the edge of known space. These colonies were far from the safety of the inner systems. They were new, still growing, still poor. They needed ships like the Sable Horizon to survive. Without cargo runs like this one, families on Kestrel Station would run out of food within weeks. Elena had flown this route many times. She knew every star along the way, every quiet stretch of black space, every place where pirates might hide. But she also knew something most pirates and raiders did not know. The Sable Horizon was not what it seemed. 10 years ago, during the last big war with the Creel Empire, Earth had lost too many ships too fast. The Creel fleets were fast, strong, and cruel. They attacked without warning and showed no mercy to slow cargo convoys. Thousands of human transport ships were destroyed, along with the people and supplies they carried. It was one of the darkest times humanity had faced. After the war ended, Earth's engineers made a quiet decision. They would never let their supply ships be so weak again. But they also could not build a fleet of new warships fast enough, and they could not afford to make every colony convoy look like a military target. So they came up with another plan. They took old cargo ships, ships that already looked slow and harmless, and they rebuilt them from the inside. They added armor plating hidden underneath the outer hull, armor made from a new alloy that could stop most weapons fire. They installed defense turrets that stayed folded inside secret compartments, invisible until they were needed. They gave these ships shield generators strong enough to survive short but intense battles. And they trained small crews of regular workers, cargo haulers, mechanics, and pilots, to use these hidden systems if the day ever came when they needed them. The program was called Ironback. Very few people outside the government and military knew it existed. Even fewer knew which ships had been changed. To the rest of the galaxy, ships like the Sable Horizon were just old freighters, slow and easy to rob. That was exactly the trap Earth wanted to set. Elena had been part of Ironback from the very beginning. She had lost her brother during the war, when his cargo ship was destroyed by Creel raiders near the Vex Belt. She remembered getting the message, remembered the silence in her apartment after she read it. She had volunteered for Ironback the very next month. Now, years later, she commanded one of only a dozen Ironback ships still active, and she hoped, every single day, that she would never have to use its secrets. "Captain, incoming message from Kestrel Station," said the communications officer, a quiet woman named Priya Nandi. "Put it through." The screen lit up with the face of the station administrator, a heavy-set man named Grant Osei. He looked worried. "Elena, good to see your ship still on schedule. Listen, we've had some strange reports out here. 2 independent traders went missing near the Corvo asteroid field last week. No wreckage found, no distress calls. Just gone." Elena frowned. "Pirates? Maybe. Or maybe something else. There have been rumors of Zereth raiders moving into this sector." The name made the bridge crew go quiet for a moment. The Zereth were not human, and they were not friendly. They were a spacefaring species known for hitting soft targets, cargo ships, mining stations, small colonies, and taking whatever they wanted, leaving little behind. They were not as powerful as the old Krill Empire had been, but they were fast, aggressive, and cruel in their own way. They believed in taking what they could from weaker species, and humans, in their eyes, were exactly that, weak. "Thank you for the warning, Grant," Elena said. "We'll stay alert. Just get here safe. Elena, we need those medical supplies bad. The clinic's almost out of antibiotics." "We'll make it," she said, and cut the channel. She turned to Tomas. "Increase scanner range. I want early warning if anything comes near us." "Yes, Captain." The sable horizon continued on its path, gliding silently through the black. Elena walked the halls of her ship that evening, past the cargo holds stacked high with crates of grain and boxes of medicine. She passed her crew, young Marcus fixing a coolant line, old Ingrid checking pressure valves, the twins Dana and Dax playing cards in the mess hall during their break. They were not soldiers. They were regular people doing a hard job in a dangerous part of space. Most of them knew about the ship's secret armor. A few of the newer crew members did not. She stopped by engineering, where Chief Engineer Boris Kalin was running a diagnostic on the main reactor. "Everything holding up, Boris?" "Like always, Captain," Boris said without looking up. He was a big man with thick forearms and a beard that had gone mostly gray. He had served in the war too, on a warship that had barely survived the Battle of Ceres Gate. He did not talk about it much. Reactors steady. Hidden systems are all green. Armor plating integrity at 100%. Shield generators charged and ready, though I hope to God we never need them. "Same here," Elena said. "You heard about the missing traders?" "I heard." Boris finally looked up, his eyes serious. "Zareth don't usually come this deep into human space. If they're really out here, something's changed. Maybe they think we're an easy target since the war ended. Maybe they think we're soft." Boris let out a short, humorless laugh. "Then they're about to learn something." Elena did not answer right away. Oh, she hoped they were wrong. She hoped this run would be like every other run, quiet, boring, uneventful. She hoped the missing traders had simply drifted off course, or had engine trouble, or had been picked up by another friendly ship somewhere. She hoped, but she did not believe. That night, Elena could not sleep. She sat in her small quarters, looking at an old photograph of her brother, taken years before the war. He was smiling in it, young and full of life, standing in front of his first cargo ship. She thought about how quickly things could end, how a single moment of violence could erase a person, a ship, a whole crew. She thought about her own crew. 43 people aboard the Sable Horizon. Cooks, mechanics, pilots, cargo handlers. People with families waiting for them at home. People with dreams and plans for the future. It was her job to bring them back safely, no matter what waited out there in the dark. The next 2 days passed quietly. The ship moved steadily through open space, following its planned route toward Kestrel Station. The scanners showed nothing unusual, just the normal background noise of stars, dust, and the occasional distant asteroid. Elena began to relax, just slightly. Maybe the missing traders really had just been an accident. Maybe the rumors of Zareth raiders were only rumors. On the third day, everything changed. It happened during the ship's morning shift change, a time when half the crew was tired from the night watch, and the other half was still waking up. Priya Nandi was at her communications station when her screen suddenly filled with static, then cleared to show 3 unknown contacts appearing on long-range scanners. "Captain, 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace, bearing 270, closing fast." Elena was on the bridge within seconds, her uniform still half-buttoned.
"Identify them."
Tomas worked his console quickly, running the ship's sensors through every database they had. "Ship design doesn't match any human, Kryl, or Alliance vessel I've got on file. Wait. Captain, I'm getting a partial match. Hull shape, engine signature. It's Zareth. Definitely Zareth raiders." The bridge went silent for a heartbeat. "How many ships?" Elena asked, her voice calm, despite the tightening in her chest. 3 confirmed. "Medium-sized, likely raider class. Weapons hot. They're on an intercept course, Captain. They'll reach us in 11 minutes. Elena felt the old fear rise up inside her, the same fear she remembered from the war. But underneath the fear was something else too, something colder and steadier. 10 years of training, 10 years of preparing for exactly this moment. "All hands, this is the captain," she said, her voice carrying through the ship's intercom. "We have 3 unidentified raider ships approaching. This is not a drill. All crew report to emergency stations immediately. She turned to Tomas. Send a distress signal to Kestrel Station and to any Alliance patrol ships in range. Let them know our position and situation. Yes, Captain. Priya, try hailing the raiders. Let's see what they want, or if they'll even answer. Priya's hands moved fast across her console. A moment later, she shook her head. No response, Captain. They're not even trying to talk, just coming straight at us. Elena's jaw tightened. She had hoped, foolishly perhaps, that this might end with words instead of weapons. But raiders did not usually bother with words. They saw an old, slow, unarmed cargo ship, and they saw an easy meal. She walked to the center of the bridge and looked at the tactical display, watching the 3 red dots grow closer with every passing second. Somewhere behind her, she knew Boris was already moving through engineering, preparing the hidden systems that had slept quietly inside this old ship for years, waiting for a moment, just like this one. 9 minutes to intercept, Tomas said quietly. Elena took a slow breath. She thought of her brother. She thought of the 43 people on this ship who trusted her to bring them home. She thought of the medicine sitting in the cargo hold, medicine that families on Kestrel Station desperately needed. They think we're weak, she said quietly, almost to herself. They think we're an easy target. She turned to her crew, and for the first time since the alarm sounded, a small, hard smile crossed her face. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Sable Horizon continued forward, still looking every bit the slow, harmless freighter it had always pretended to be. But deep inside its old, dented hull, hidden systems were coming to life, layer by layer, preparing for a battle the raiders did not know was coming. The trap that Earth had built 10 years ago, born from grief and war, and the hard lesson of losing too many ships, was about to be sprung for the very first time in real combat. 9 minutes felt like a very long time, and also no time at all. The 3 Zareth Raider ships grew larger on the main screen, sharp-edged and predatory, closing in on what they believed was easy prey. They had no idea that the old cargo ship in front of them was carrying more than food and medicine. They had no idea it was carrying teeth. The 3 Zareth Raider ships closed in fast, cutting sharp lines through the dark. On the bridge of the Sable Horizon, Elena Voss watched the tactical display with steady eyes, though her heart pounded hard in her chest. 7 minutes remained before the raiders reached firing range. Talk to me, Tomas, she said. What are we looking at? Tomas Reyes studied his screen, fingers moving quickly. 3 ships, Captain. Based on the size and shape, I'd guess Raider-class cruisers, maybe 200 meters each. Not warships, but built for speed and short, hard fights. They probably carry plasma cannons and boarding pods. Boarding pods, Elena repeated. They don't just want to destroy us, they want to take the ship. That would match what happened to the missing traders, Priya added from her station. No wreckage. Zareth Raiders are known for capturing ships and crews when they can, not just blowing them up. Cargo is worth more than debris. Elena's stomach turned at the thought of what happened to captured crews in Zareth hands. She had heard the old stories from before the war, back when Zareth Raiders were still a growing problem along the frontier. None of those stories ended well for the people captured. They're not going to take my ship, she said quietly, and they're not going to take my crew. She pressed the intercom button. Boris, status report. Boris Kalin's voice came back rough and steady from deep within the ship. Hidden systems coming online now, Captain. Armor plating is already active. It activated automatically the moment our threat sensors picked up weapons charging on those raider ships. Shield generators are at 90% and climbing. Turret systems need about 4 more minutes to fully deploy and calibrate. 4 minutes, Elena repeated, looking at the clock. The raiders would be in firing range in 6 minutes. That gave her crew only a 2-minute window of full readiness before the real fight began. It would be close. Do what you can, Boris. We need those turrets. Copy that, Captain. My team's moving as fast as we can. Elena turned back to the bridge crew. She could see the tension in their faces. Most of the bridge crew knew about Ironback. They had trained for this moment in simulations for years. But knowing about a fight in theory and living through the beginning of a real one were very different things. Listen to me, Elena said, her voice calm and clear. We built this ship to survive exactly this kind of attack. We have trained for years for this exact moment. I know some of you are scared. That's fine. I'm scared too. But we are not helpless. We are not the easy target these raiders think we are. Do your jobs, trust your training, and we will get through this. A few crew members nodded. Priya took a slow breath and straightened her shoulders. Tomas gripped the edge of his console, knuckles white, but his eyes were focused. 5 minutes to firing range, Tomas said. Elena walked to the front window and looked out at the 3 approaching ships, now visible as small points of light against the black. They were still too far away to see clearly, but she could imagine them, sleek, fast, hungry. Priya, one more time, try hailing them. Let's see if there's any chance of avoiding this. Priya sent the hailing signal again. This time, after a moment of silence, something crackled back through the comm system. A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge, translated roughly by the ship's language systems into broken but understandable words. Human ship, cargo is ours now. Power down engines. Open your holds. Resist, and you die slow. The voice was cold and confident. It was the voice of someone who had done this many times before and expected no trouble at all. Elena felt anger rise up beneath her fear. These raiders had likely done this exact thing to other ships, maybe even to the missing traders Grant had warned her about. Maybe those traders were already dead, or worse, held somewhere in chains. Tell them no, Elena said. Priya blinked. Captain? Tell them exactly that, no. Priya swallowed hard, then activated the comm. This is cargo ship. Sable Horizon. Our answer is no. We will not power down. We will not surrender our cargo. There was a pause on the other end. Then the harsh voice returned, sounding almost amused. Foolish, you will regret this choice. The comm channel closed. 4 minutes to firing range, Tomas said. Elena turned to look at the tactical display again. The 3 raider ships were beginning to spread apart, taking up a wide formation. A classic pincer approach, designed to surround a target and cut off any escape routes. It was smart tactics for hunting a helpless ship, but the Sable Horizon was not helpless, even if the raiders did not know it yet. Boris, talk to me, Elena said into the intercom. Turrets are online, Captain. Boris's voice was excited now, filled with the energy of a man finally getting to use tools he had trained with for years, but never actually needed. Main dorsal turret ready. Port and starboard turrets ready. We've got full shield coverage across the hull. Armor plating holding steady at maximum integrity. Weapon status? Plasma cannons, charged, and ready to fire on your command, Captain. We are as ready as we're ever going to be. Elena allowed herself a small breath of relief. They had made it in time. Barely, but they had made it. Good work, Boris. Stand by. 3 minutes to firing range, Tomas reported. Elena studied the raider formation once more. If she fired first, the raiders might realize immediately that something was very wrong with this helpless cargo ship, and they might retreat before her crew could do real damage. But if she waited too long, the raiders would get the first shots in, and even with armor and shields, that first strike could cause real harm. She thought about her strategy carefully. The whole point of the Ironback program was surprise. The raiders needed to believe, right up until the last possible moment, that the Sable Horizon truly was defenseless. Only then would they commit fully to the attack, coming in close, confident, careless. And only then would the hidden weapons do the most damage. We wait, Elena said. Let them come in close. Let them think they've already won. We don't fire until they're within point-blank range, or until they fire on us first. That's risky, Captain, Tomas said carefully. If we take a direct hit before the shields are fully calibrated. Boris said shields are at full power, Elena said. We can take a few hits. What we can't do is let these ships escape and warn other Zareth raiders that human cargo ships aren't as helpless as they look. If this ship gets away today, they'll be more careful next time, and other Ironback ships will lose their advantage before they ever get to use it. Tomas nodded slowly, understanding. Understood, Captain. 2 minutes. The 3 raider ships were now clearly visible on the main view screen. Dark, angular vessels with jagged fins and glowing engine trails. They moved with confident precision, closing the distance with the ease of hunters who had done this 100 times before. Elena's crew moved through the ship in tense silence, each person at their emergency station, each person trusting in months and years of training they had hoped they would never need to use. In the cargo hold, workers secured loose crates and prepared for possible impacts. In the medical bay, Dr. Amara Singh laid out supplies and prepared for injuries. In engineering, Boris and his team stood ready at the weapon controls, watching the enemy ships close in through their monitors. 1 minute to firing range, Tomas said, his voice tight. Elena stood at the center of the bridge, watching the raider ships grow larger and larger on the screen. She could see the shape of them clearly now. Cruel, sharp designs built for speed and violence. Nothing like the slow, practical shape of her own ship. They still think we're helpless, she said quietly. For now, Tomas agreed. The lead raider ship, slightly ahead of the other two, opened a channel again. The same harsh voice crackled through the comm. Last chance, human ship. Power down, or we open fire. Elena did not answer. She simply watched the ship close the final distance, watched the raiders commit fully to their attack, exactly as she had hoped they would. 30 seconds, Tomas whispered. Elena's hand hovered over the comm button that would give the order to fire. She thought of her brother one last time, thought of the families waiting at Kestrel Station, thought of the 43 people aboard her ship who trusted her with their lives. 15 seconds. The lead raider ship's weapon ports began to glow, charging for a first strike. 10 seconds. Elena's eyes narrowed. All hands, brace for impact. Weapons crews, stand by. 5 seconds. The bridge fell completely silent, every crew member holding their breath, watching the glowing weapons of the lead raider ship aimed directly at them. Fire, the harsh alien voice said over the open comm channel, and a bright burst of plasma energy shot out from the lead ship, streaking through space, directly toward the Sev. Sable horizon. Elena's voice rang out clear and steady across the bridge. Shields up. Return fire. All turrets, now. The old cargo ship, which had looked so slow and harmless just moments before, suddenly came alive. Bright shield energy flared to life across its hull, catching the incoming plasma blast and absorbing most of its force. At the same time, hidden panels along the ship's dented, patched exterior slid open, revealing turrets that had been hidden inside for years, waiting silently for this exact moment. The three raider ships, still moving in close for what they believed would be an easy kill, suddenly found themselves facing something they had never expected. Bright bolts of return fire erupted from the helpless cargo ship, streaking across the black toward them with deadly accuracy. For the first time, confusion rippled through the enemy formation. The lead raider ship jerked hard to one side, trying to avoid the incoming fire, but it was too late. One shot slammed into its hull, and a bright flash lit up the darkness of space. On the bridge of the Sable Horizon, Elena Voss watched the battle begin, her heart pounding, her hands steady on the console in front of her. "Let's see how they like it," she said. The trap, 10 years in the making, had finally been sprung. The blast that struck the lead raider ship sent it spinning slightly off course, sparks flying from a wound in its hull. For a moment, everything in space seemed to freeze. The two other raider ships, caught completely off guard, hesitated in their approach. On the bridge of the Sable Horizon, Elena Voss allowed herself 1 second to feel the shock give way to something else, a hard, focused determination. "Direct hit on the lead ship," Tomas called out. "Their shields absorbed most of it, but they're definitely damaged. They didn't expect that." "Keep firing," Elena ordered. "Don't let them recover." "Boris, how are our systems holding?" "Shields at 85%, and holding, Captain." Boris's voice came back over the intercom, steady despite the excitement underneath it. "That first hit barely scratched us. Turrets are cycling for another shot." The two undamaged raider ships broke formation, moving fast to flank the Sable Horizon. From different angles, their confusion was turning into anger now. Whatever this cargo ship was, it clearly was not the easy target they had expected. "Second and third ships moving to flank positions, Captain," Tomas reported. "They're trying to surround us." "Let them try," Elena said. "Boris, we need full coverage. Can the turrets track multiple targets?" "That's exactly what they were built for, Captain. Give the order." Elena studied the tactical display. The three raider ships now moved around the Sable horizon. In a loose triangle, trying to spread her defenses thin. It was a smart tactic against a truly helpless ship, but the Sable horizon had been built for exactly this kind of fight. All turrets, independent targeting, Elena ordered. Take out their weapon systems first. We disable before we destroy, if we can. Understood, Captain, Boris replied. The hidden turrets along the ship's hull, no longer hidden now, swiveled smoothly to track the three enemy ships as they moved. Bright bolts of energy shot out in quick succession, each aimed with careful precision at the raider ship's weapon ports and engine sections. The damaged lead ship, still reeling from the first hit, took a second solid blow along its side. This time, one of its plasma cannons exploded in a shower of sparks, disabled completely. The ship lurched hard to one side, clearly struggling to maintain control. "Lead ship's weapons are down," Tomas called out. "They're pulling back." The second raider ship opened fire, sending a spread of plasma bolts toward the Sable horizon. Port side. Elena gripped the edge of her console as the ship shuddered under the impact. "Shields holding at 70%, Boris reported. "We can take a lot more than that, Captain." "Return fire on the second ship," Elena ordered. "Full spread." The Sable horizon was turrets answered immediately, sending a wall of energy bolts toward the attacking ship. Most of the shots missed, as the raider vessel banked hard to avoid them, but two solid hits landed along its hull, tearing through its outer plating. The third raider ship, seeing its companion struggling, hesitated for a moment before opening fire from a different angle, trying to catch the Sable horizon. In a crossfire, Elena felt the ship rock hard under the combined impact of both attacks. "Shields at 55%, Boris called out, his voice tighter now. "We're taking real damage, Captain, but we're still solid." Elena's mind raced through the battle unfolding around her. The Zareth raiders were fast and aggressive, but they were also disorganized now, confused by an enemy that refused to behave the way they expected. That confusion was an opportunity. "Tomas, give me a full sensor sweep. I want to know their exact positions, and any weaknesses in their formation." "On it, Captain." Tomas's fingers flew across his console. "Got it. Lead ship is falling back. Weapons offline. Engines at half power. Second ship took heavy damage to its hull, but weapons are still active. Third ship is undamaged, and closing in fast from our starboard side. Focus all fire on the third ship," Elena ordered. "We need to even the odds before it does more damage." The Sable horizon. Turrets shifted target, concentrating their fire on the approaching third raider ship. Bright bolts of energy lit up the darkness, as both sides exchanged fire at close range. The battle had become a real fight now, not the one-sided slaughter the raiders had expected when they first approached. In engineering, Boris Kalin worked alongside his small team, monitoring power levels and adjusting shield distribution to protect the areas of the ship taking the heaviest fire. Sweat ran down his forehead as he called out instructions, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. "Redirect power from aft shields to port side," he shouted. "We're taking heavy fire from the second ship." "On it, Chief," one of his engineers called back, hands moving fast across the controls. Throughout the ship, the crew of the Sable horizon worked together with a kind of desperate focus. In the medical bay, Dr. Amara Singh prepared for casualties, though so far, thanks to the ship's strong shields, no one had been seriously hurt. In the cargo hold, workers braced themselves against the shuddering of the ship, holding onto secured crates as the battle raged outside. On the bridge, Elena watched the tactical display with sharp, focused eyes, calling out orders as the situation shifted moment by moment. The third raider ship, despite taking hits, managed to close the distance and fired a powerful blast directly at the Sable horizon. Bridge section. "Brace," Elena shouted. The ship shook violently as the blast struck home. Sparks flew from a console near the back of the bridge, and the lights flickered for a moment before steadying again. "Shields at 30%, Boris called out, alarm creeping into his voice now. "That last hit got through partially. We took some damage to the outer hull near the bridge, but nothing critical yet." Elena's jaw tightened. 30% was getting low. If the raiders kept up this kind of pressure, the shields would fail eventually. and then the true armor plating hidden beneath the hull would be all that stood between her crew and disaster. "We need to end this fight quickly," she said. "Thomas, target the third ship's engines. If we can slow it down, we can focus our fire and take it out of the battle." "Targeting engines now, Captain." The Sable Horizon. Turrets adjusted their aim, sending a concentrated barrage of fire toward the engine section of the third raider ship. The enemy vessel tried to evade, but it was too late. Multiple hits struck home, and the ship's engines flared bright, then went dark completely. The raider ship drifted, powerless, tumbling slowly through space. "Third ship is disabled," Tomas called out, relief clear in his voice. "Engines completely offline." "One down," Elena said. "Focus on the second ship." The second raider ship, still armed and dangerous despite earlier damage, continued its attack, firing another spread of plasma bolts toward the Sable Horizon. The old cargo ship shuddered under the impact, but its remaining shields held, barely. "Shields at 20%, Boris reported, his voice tense. "Captain, if they land one more solid hit, we might lose shields completely." Elena studied the tactical display, watching the second raider ship maneuver for another attack run. She needed to end this now, before her ship's defenses failed completely. "All weapons, target the second ship's main hull," she ordered. "Everything we've got." The Sable Horizon. Turrets, still functioning despite the damage the ship had taken, unleashed a full barrage of concentrated fire at the second raider ship. The enemy vessel tried to turn away, tried to escape the incoming assault, but it was too slow. Multiple hits tore through its hull, one after another, until a bright explosion lit up the darkness of space, and the second raider ship broke apart completely. For a moment, silence fell across the bridge of the Sable Horizon. Then a ragged cheer broke out among the crew, quickly hushed by Elena's raised hand. "Not yet," she said. "The lead ship is still out there." Tomas checked his sensors. "Lead ship is still retreating, Captain. Weapons offline, engines at reduced power. It's trying to escape into hyperspace, but it looks like the damage from earlier is slowing down its jump calculations." Elena watched the damaged lead raider ship on the tactical display, limping away from the battle it had started so confidently just minutes before. She thought about the missing traders, about the families waiting at Kestrel Station, about all the other ships this raider crew might have attacked before finding the Sable Horizon. "Can we stop it from escaping?" she asked. "We could disable its remaining engines with a well-placed shot," Tomas said. "But Captain, our shields are nearly gone. If we push for another attack and something goes wrong..." Elena thought carefully. Destroying the lead ship might mean losing any chance to question its crew, to learn more about why the Zareth were pushing this deep into human territory. But letting it escape meant it could return with reinforcements, or warn other raiders about human cargo ships that were not what they seemed. She made her decision quickly. "Target its engines only. Disable, don't destroy. We take prisoners if we can." "Understood, Captain." The Sable Horizon. Its remaining turrets fired one last coordinated volley, aiming carefully at the fleeing raider ship's damaged engine section. The shots struck home, and the lead ship's engines flared briefly before failing completely, leaving it dead in space, alongside its disabled companion. The battle, which had begun with 3 confident raider ships closing in on what they believed was an easy, helpless target, had ended in less than 15 minutes, with 2 enemy ships destroyed or disabled, and the third crippled and drifting. On the bridge of the Sable Horizon, Elena Voss let out a long breath she had not realized she was holding. Around her, the crew slowly began to relax, though the tension of battle still hung heavy in the air. "Status report," she said, her voice steady, despite the exhaustion beginning to creep into her bones. "Shields at 15%, but holding," Boris reported from engineering. "Armor plating took some damage near the bridge and along the port side, but nothing that threatens the ship's structural integrity. No serious injuries reported among the crew." Elena closed her eyes for a brief moment, relief washing over her. Her ship had survived. Her crew had survived. The trap, built 10 years ago from grief and hard lessons learned in war, had worked exactly as it was designed to. But the battle, she knew, was not entirely over yet. Two disabled raider ships still drifted nearby, and difficult decisions still waited to be made about what to do with them, and with whatever crew members might still be alive aboard. "Thomas," she said, opening her eyes again. "Hail the disabled ships. Let's find out exactly who we're dealing with." The two disabled raider ships drifted silently in the black, their engines dark, their weapons useless. On the bridge of the Sable Horizon. Elena Voss watched them on the main screen, her mind already moving past the adrenaline of battle and into the harder questions that came after. "Thomas, any response to our hail?" she asked. "Nothing yet, Captain," Thomas replied, still watching his console closely. "Their communication systems might be damaged, or they might just be ignoring us. Try again. Let them know we're not going to finish them off if they cooperate." Priya sent the message again, her voice calm and clear as she spoke into the comm system. "This is cargo ship. Sable Horizon. Your vessels are disabled. We are prepared to offer medical assistance if needed. Please respond." A long moment of silence followed. Then, finally, a crackle of static came through, and the same harsh voice from before returned, though weaker now, and clearly in pain. "Human ship. How? You were... nothing. Cargo hauler. No weapons." Elena stepped closer to the comm station. "We were exactly what we looked like. A cargo ship. But we were also prepared for exactly what happened today. You attacked the wrong ship." Another pause, filled with static and what sounded like labored breathing. "Impossible. Human ships. Weak. Always weak. Since the war." "Not all of us," Elena said. "Not anymore." There was a long silence after that. Elena waited, watching the tactical display, watching for any sign that the disabled ships might attempt something desperate. A last strike, a self-destruct sequence, anything. But nothing happened. The ships simply drifted, powerless and broken. "Captain," Tomas said quietly, "sensors are picking up life signs aboard both disabled ships. The lead ship has 12 life signs. The second, destroyed ship, no life signs detected among the wreckage." Elena's chest tightened at that. The second ship's entire crew had been lost when it broke apart. She had made the call to fire the shots that destroyed it, and though it had been necessary, though those raiders had attacked first and shown no mercy toward the missing traders before them, the weight of those deaths settled heavily on her shoulders anyway. "And the third ship, the one we disabled by taking out its engines?" she asked. 9 life signs aboard, Captain. All appear stable, though a few show signs of injury." Elena nodded slowly. 21 Zareth raiders remained alive between the two disabled ships. She had a decision to make about what came next. "Boris," she said into the intercom. "Damage report and repair estimate." "We took a beating, Captain, but nothing we can't handle," Boris replied. "Shield generators need about 6 hours to fully recharge. Armor plating held up well, minor damage near the bridge section, but nothing that compromises the hull. We're not going anywhere fast, but we're not in danger either." "Good. I need a security team assembled. We're going to board that lead ship." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Board it, Captain? With respect, that's dangerous. We don't know what kind of resistance we might face over there." "I know," Elena said, "but we can't just leave them drifting out here, and we can't just destroy a disabled ship full of wounded, unarmed crew members. That's not who we are. Besides, if we can learn why the Zareth are pushing this deep into human territory, that information could save a lot of lives down the line." Boris was quiet for a moment before responding. "Understood, Captain. I'll put together a team." 2 hours later, a small shuttle launched from the Sable Horizon hangar bay, carrying Elena, Boris, and 4 armed security crew members toward the disabled lead raider ship. Elena had debated whether to go herself, but she felt it was important. If her crew was going to face this kind of danger, she would not ask them to do something she was unwilling to do herself. The shuttle docked carefully against the raider ship's damaged airlock, and Boris's team worked quickly to force the door open, using tools brought from the Sable Horizon. Ia's engineering bay. The airlock hissed and groaned, but eventually gave way, revealing a dark, cramped corridor beyond. Elena stepped through first, her weapon held ready but lowered, a flashlight cutting through the darkness. The The interior of the Zareth ship was strange to her eyes. Narrow corridors, low ceilings, walls covered in symbols she couldn't read. The air smelled sharp and unfamiliar, and emergency lighting flickered weakly along the walls, powered by whatever backup systems remained functional. "Careful," she said quietly to her team. "We're not here to fight unless we have to." They moved through the ship slowly, finding their way toward what appeared to be the bridge. Along the way, they passed several Zareth crew members, some injured, all of them backing away in what looked like fear and confusion rather than aggression. They were smaller than Elena had expected, with gray-green skin, sharp facial features, and dark eyes that watched the humans warily. When Elena's team finally reached the bridge, they found the captain of the raider ship, the source of that harsh, translated voice, slumped in his command chair, clearly injured, one of his arms wrapped in a makeshift bandage made from torn fabric. He looked up as the humans entered, his dark eyes filled with a mixture of pain, anger, and something that looked almost like disbelief. "You came," he said, his voice rough, even without the comm system's distortion. "To finish us." "No," Elena said, lowering her weapon fully. "We came to offer help, if you'll accept it, and to talk." The Zareth captain studied her for a long moment, clearly suspicious. "Talk? About what?" "About why you attacked my ship. About the other ships you and your people have attacked before us. About whether this needs to keep happening." The captain let out a harsh, pained laugh. "You ask why? Simple answer. Human ships were weak, after the Creel War. Broken. Easy. We heard this from others who came before us. Traders who found human cargo ships defenseless, take what they wanted." "That's not true anymore," Elena said. "Not for all of us." "I see that now," the captain said bitterly, glancing down at his injured arm. "Costly lesson." Elena studied him for a moment, weighing her next words carefully. "My people lost a lot in that war. We learned from it. We built ships like mine, specifically to stop raiders like you from preying on our colonies. But I don't want more of your people to die learning this lesson the hard way, and I don't want more of my people to suffer, the way the ones you attacked before us likely suffered." The captain's dark eyes narrowed. "You offer, what? Mercy?" "I offer a choice," Elena said. "My medical officer can treat your injured crew. We'll tow your ships to the nearest neutral station, where you'll be handed over to Alliance authorities, rather than left to die in the dark. In exchange, I want information. Who sent you here? Why are Zareth raiders pushing this deep into human territory now, after years of staying away?" The captain was silent for a long moment, clearly weighing his limited options. Finally he spoke, his voice quieter now, some of the earlier hostility drained away by exhaustion and pain. "There is no single leader who sent us," he said. Word spread among raider crews, trader gossip, whispers passed ship to ship. Human colonies along the frontier grow rich, grow careless since the war ended. "Easy pickings," they said. "We came to test the words for ourselves." "And the other ships?" Elena asked. "The traders that went missing before us?" The captain's eyes flickered, something like shame crossing his features briefly. "Two independent traders, small ships, no defenses. We took their cargo. Crews are alive, held on a supply station, 3 jumps from here, waiting to be sold or ransomed." Elena's stomach tightened at that, but she kept her voice steady. "Give me the exact location of that station, and the names of your crew held there for questioning by Alliance authorities. That information could mean a much lighter sentence for your people once this is over." The captain considered this for a long moment, before finally nodding slowly. "I will give you what I know." Over the next hour, Elena and her team worked to secure the raider ship, tending to the wounded alongside the ship's own limited medical supplies, while the captain provided detailed information about the location of the captured traders and the growing rumors that had drawn Zareth raiders toward human space. Dr. Amara Singh, brought over from the Sable Horizon, worked carefully alongside her security escort to treat the worst of the injuries among the Zareth crew, showing the same care and professionalism she would show to any patient, regardless of species. By the time Elena returned to her own ship, exhausted but relieved, the sun, or rather, the nearest star, had begun to feel like a distant, hopeful thing on the horizon of a very long day. "Captain," Tomas said as she stepped back onto the bridge. "Message just came in from Kestrel Station. An Alliance patrol ship is inbound, responding to our distress signal. ETA 4 hours. Good, Elena said, sinking into her command chair, feeling the exhaustion of the day finally catching up with her. Send them the coordinates of the trading station, the raider captain mentioned. Those captured traders need rescuing as soon as possible. Already done, Captain. Elena allowed herself a small, tired smile. The battle was over. Her ship had survived its first real test, the hidden armor and weapons of the Ironback program proving themselves exactly as effective as 10 years of careful planning had promised. But as she looked out at the 2 disabled raider ships still drifting nearby, and thought about the captured traders waiting somewhere on a distant station, she knew this victory was only the beginning of a much larger story. Boris, she said into the intercom, how are repairs coming along? Slow but steady, Captain, Boris replied. We'll be ready to continue on to Kestrel Station once the Alliance patrol arrives to take custody of our 2 new guests. Elena nodded, though Boris couldn't see her. Good work today, everyone. I mean that. Around the bridge, her crew exchanged tired but proud glances. They had faced real danger today, and they had come through it together, protected by a ship that had kept its secrets faithfully for 10 long years, waiting patiently for the moment it would finally be needed. That moment had come, and the Sable Horizon had not failed them. 4 hours later, the Alliance patrol ship, Constant Vigil, arrived at the scene, its sleek gray hull a sharp contrast to the battered, patched shape of the Sable Horizon. Floating nearby, Elena watched from the bridge as the warship approached, its weapon systems visible and active, a reminder of the kind of firepower her own ship had kept hidden for so many years. Captain Voss, came a voice over the comm, crisp and formal. This is Commander Reyna Okafor of the Constant Vigil. We received your distress signal and the coordinates for the captured traders. Good work disabling these raider vessels. Can you give us a full report? Gladly, Commander, Elena replied, standing straighter despite her exhaustion. 3 Zareth raider ships attacked us roughly 6 hours ago, believing we were an unarmed cargo vessel. We disabled 2 of their ships and destroyed the 3rd when it refused to stand down. We have 21 survivors between the 2 disabled vessels, including the captain of the lead ship, who provided information about captured human traders being held at a supply station 3 jumps from here. There was a brief pause on the other end, and Elena imagined the surprise on the commander's face. You disabled 2 raider ships and destroyed a 3rd, using a cargo hauler? It's a long story, Commander, Elena said with a tired smile. One I'd be happy to share once we're both back at Kestrel Station. I look forward to hearing it, Captain. In the meantime, we'll take custody of the raider survivors and their ships. I'm also dispatching a 2nd patrol vessel to investigate the trading station coordinates you provided. If there really are captured human traders being held there, we need to move quickly. Understood, Commander. Thank you. Over the following hours, Alliance security teams from the 4 Constant Vigil boarded both disabled raider ships, taking the surviving Zareth crew members into custody for questioning and eventual trial under Alliance law. The raider captain, still recovering from his injuries, was transferred carefully to the Alliance ship's medical bay, escorted by armed guards but treated according to proper protocols for prisoners of war. Before he was taken aboard the Constant Vigil, the captain asked to speak with Elena one final time. She met him at the airlock connecting the 2 ships, watching as the guards allowed a brief moment for the exchange. Captain Voss, he said, his translated voice still rough with pain, but steadier than before. I did not expect this. Mercy from humans. We were taught differently. Someone taught you wrong, Elena said simply. We're not perfect, and we've made plenty of mistakes as a people. But most of us don't want more war than we already had. I hope you remember that, whatever happens to you next. The captain studied her for a long moment, something unreadable in his dark eyes. I will remember, he said finally, before the guards led him away toward the waiting Alliance ship. With the raiders secured and the immediate crisis resolved, Elena finally allowed herself and her crew a moment to properly process everything that had happened. She gathered the entire crew of the Sable Horizon in the largest cargo bay, the only space big enough to hold all 43 of them at once. I know today was hard, she said, standing before her crew, still wearing the same uniform she'd had on since the attack began, now stained with sweat and grease from hours of work. I know some of you were scared. I was scared too. But every single one of you did exactly what needed to be done, and because of that, we're all still here. Nobody died today. Nobody got seriously hurt. And somewhere out there, 2 traitors who were taken captive might get rescued because of information we gathered. She paused, looking around at the tired, relieved faces of her crew. Mechanics and cooks, pilots and cargo handlers, people who had signed on for a simple job hauling supplies between colonies, never expecting to fight a real battle against alien raiders. This ship was built with a secret, Elena continued. A secret born out of grief, out of loss, out of a war that took too much from too many of us. Today, that secret saved our lives. But I want you all to understand something important. It wasn't the hidden armor, or the hidden weapons that won this fight. It was you, your training, your courage, your willingness to trust each other and do your jobs even when you were terrified. That's what really turned this battle around. A quiet murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, followed by a few tired but genuine smiles. Boris, standing near the front with grease still smudged across his hands, gave her a small, respectful nod. "Take the rest of the day to rest," Elena said. "We'll resume our course to Kestrel Station once repairs are complete, and the Alliance ship releases us to continue. You've all earned some time to breathe." The crew began to disperse slowly, some heading to the mess hall for a much-needed meal, others returning to their quarters to finally let the adrenaline of the day fade into simple exhaustion. Elena remained in the cargo bay a while longer, looking around at the crates of medicine and food still safely secured, still waiting to be delivered to the families who needed them. Later that evening, once the constant vigil had completed its work and released the sable horizon to continue its journey, Elena sat alone in her quarters, looking once more at the old photograph of her brother. She thought about how far things had come since the dark days of the war, since the moment she'd read the message about his death and decided to volunteer for a secret program built on the hope that humanity would never again be caught so unprepared. Today, that hope had been tested for the first time in real combat, and it had held. 3 days later, the sable horizon finally arrived at Kestrel Station, its damaged hull patched and repaired as best as the crew could manage during the journey. Grant Osei was waiting personally at the docking bay when the ship arrived, along with a small crowd of colonists eager to receive their long-awaited supplies. "Elena," Grant said, gripping her hand firmly as she stepped off the ship, "we heard what happened. The Alliance sent word ahead. You disabled 2 raider ships and rescued information that helped free those captured traitors. The whole station's talking about it." "We got lucky," Elena said modestly, though a small smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. "Lucky ships don't come equipped with hidden weapons and armor plating," Grant said, raising an eyebrow. "There are rumors going around already, Elena. People are starting to wonder if other cargo ships might be hiding surprises too." Elena's smile widened slightly. "Let them wonder. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, if it makes raiders think twice before attacking ships that carry desperately needed medicine to colonies like yours." Grant laughed, a warm, genuine sound that carried real relief in it. "Fair enough. Come on, let's get this medicine unloaded. The clinic's been waiting." Over the following days, as the sable horizon's crew worked to unload cargo and complete final repairs before their return journey, word of the battle continued to spread throughout the frontier colonies and beyond. Other cargo ship captains, some of whom had long suspected their own vessels carried similar hidden secrets, began to speak more openly about the Ironback program, no longer bound by the same need for total secrecy now that raiders had learned, in the harshest way possible, that human cargo ships were not always the easy targets they appeared to be. The captured traitors, rescued successfully from the raider supply station just 2 days after Elena's information reached Alliance forces, were reunited with their families, shaken but alive, thanks in large part to a chain of events that began with a failed raid on an old, unremarkable-looking cargo ship. Elena received a quiet commendation from Alliance Command for her actions, though she insisted, in every conversation about the incident, that the true credit belonged to her entire crew, to the engineers who had built the hidden systems years before, and to the 10 years of grief and hard lessons that had led humanity to prepare so carefully for a moment none of them had truly wanted to see arrive. Months later, as the Sable Horizon continued its regular cargo runs along the frontier, word came that Zareth raiders had grown noticeably more cautious around human shipping lanes. Whether it was fear of hidden weapons aboard other cargo ships, or simply the story of what happened to 3 confident raider vessels that had underestimated a slow, dented old freighter, human cargo ships found themselves facing fewer attacks in the months that followed. Elena often thought back to that day, to the tense minutes before the battle began, to the moment she had given the order to raise shields and return fire. She thought about her brother, about the photograph she still kept in her quarters, about the promise she had made to herself all those years ago, when she first volunteered for a secret program built on hope and hard lessons. The Sable Horizon would continue its long, quiet journeys through the dark, carrying food and medicine and machine parts to colonies that depended on ships like hers to survive. It would look, to any outside eye, exactly like what it had always pretended to be, an old, slow, unremarkable cargo hauler. Nothing special, nothing to fear. But, somewhere deep beneath its dented, patched exterior, hidden armor and weapons would remain ready, quietly waiting, prepared for whatever dangers the future might bring. And should another raider ever mistake that quiet readiness for weakness, they would learn, just as the Zareth raiders had learned, that appearances in the vast darkness of space could be very deceiving indeed. The war had taught humanity many hard lessons, but perhaps the hardest and most important lesson of all was this: never underestimate what looks weak, and never assume that quiet strength is the same thing as no strength at all. Elena Voss carried that lesson with her every day, standing on the bridge of her old cargo ship, watching the stars stretch out endlessly before her, ready for whatever came next.